Hello Year 4, and today's date is Friday the 26th of February, and this is your learning journey lesson. Okay, so yesterday in the Zoom we looked at using fronted adverbials. We looked at what fronted adverbials were. Okay, so today we're going to take our description of the setting that we did on Wednesday and see how we can improve it and see if we can add some of those fronted adverbials to our description. So first of all, just a recap of what we looked at yesterday. We saw this slide which showed us the different types of fronted adverbial, if you remember. So we could have a fronted adverbial showing time, the time something happens. So an example would be before sunrise. Now remember the comma. We looked at the comma goes just after it. Darius crept into the beast's cave. Okay, so that's telling us the time something happened. The frequency, so how often something happens. Every so often, comma, Darius could hear the beast's ferocious snore. We could have an adverbial that tells us the place something happens. At the back of the cave, comma, the terrifying creature began to stir. The manner in which something happens, so how it happens, e.g. as quick as a flash, comma, Darius bounded behind a nearby rock. Or the possibility, like how likely something is going to happen. So you've got almost certainly, comma, the deadly beast would find Darius. Okay, so that's a recap of what we looked at yesterday. Right, I would like you to have a look at this description I wrote and make it bigger. Okay, so the city lived in a blanket of darkness. There was an eerie silence in the air. The grime and pollution clung to the houses. The smoke spewed from the enormous factories that shadowed the streets. There was a warren of twisting alleyways filled with grime and graffiti. This was no place for humans to live. Okay, so have a think to yourself. What do you think I've done well there? Or what do you think is wrong with this description? And how do you think I could improve it? Okay, so I'll give you a moment just to have a look at that. Think about these questions. Okay, so you might have thought you liked some of the description. I think I've used some good description there, like blanket of darkness, eerie silence. I've described the grime and pollution, how it clings to the houses. I've said smoke spewed, so I've used powerful verbs. I've not just said the smoke came from the enormous factories, I've used something like spewed. A warren of twisting alleyways. Okay, so I think I've done that well. But what is wrong with this description? What do you think I could do to improve this description? Well, think about what our can I is. Can I use fronted adverbials when describing a setting? Now, have I used any fronted adverbials? No, I haven't. So let's have a look. So on the next page, I've taken this and I've tried to improve it. So let's have a look at what I have done. In fact, I'm going to come out of here so we can highlight. I'll get my highlighter pen. It's on purple. Okay, so I put the city lived in a blanket of darkness. I've added blackened by soot and smog, comma. So I've added my first fronted adverbial. So that's manner, isn't it? It's how the city is living. It's blackened by soot and smog. Surrounding the derelict buildings, an eerie silence hung in the air. So I've added, and you can see all my sentences before were starting with the or there. Now they're starting very differently, aren't they? So blackened by soot and smog, the city lived in a blanket of darkness. Surrounding the derelict buildings, an eerie silence hung in the air. Years of grime and pollution clung to the houses, spewed from the enormous factories that shadowed the streets. So I've put those were separate sentences before. I'll go back. The grime and pollution clung to the houses, the smoke spewed from the enormous factories. So what I've done is I've put them together, added years of at the front to make that a more complex sentence. Okay, and I've got a comma separating them. I've joined them together. Around every corner, so I've got another fronted adverbial with a comma, was a warren of twisting alleyways filled with grime and graffiti. This was no place for a human to live. Okay, so you can see if I click back onto here, we'll go back to full screen, make it bigger. Okay, and I'll just flick quickly between the two. So you can see I had some nice description here, but all the sentences, the way I'd started the sentences were the or there, the, there, and then I've got a this. Okay, so to improve it, and obviously what we're trying to do was using the fronted adverbials, I've added some of those and it improves the sentences. It sounds better, doesn't it? So the city lived in a blanket of darkness, blackened by soot and smog. The city lived in a blanket of darkness. Go back. The grime and pollution clung to the houses. The smoke spewed from the enormous factories that shadowed the streets became... Oh, I've missed something out, sorry. There was an eerie silence in the air. Let's go back. Became surrounding the derelict buildings. An eerie silence hung in the air. So I've got rid of the there was an eerie silence, or the, and I've added where, surrounding the derelict buildings, comma. We've got the years of grime and pollution clung to the houses, comma, spewed from the enormous factories that shadowed the streets. Okay, if I flick back, there was a warren of twisting alleyways filled with grime and graffiti, became around every corner, comma, so I'm saying another where adverbial, was a warren of twisting alleyways filled with grime and graffiti, and then I've kept that last sentence the same. This was no place for humans to live. Now looking at this, I could probably improve it further, because on Thursday we were trying to include a simile, wasn't we? So I could even make this even better by trying to include a simile there as well. Okay, so what I would like you to do is have a look at your original description of the town, of the city, and then see if you can improve it. See if you can add some of those fronted adverbials. Now what I'm going to include with this recording, I'm going to upload, where's it gone? Here it is. I'm going to upload, I've got this table here that's got lots of fronted adverbials that you could use. Okay, so I will upload that with it, so you've got lots that describe the time, how often something happens, the place, the manner, and the possibility. So I will upload that as a sheet for you to look at to give you some more ideas. Okay, so that is what we're doing. And then when you have finished, when you've improved it and you're really happy with it and you've checked it through and you've punctuated it correctly, you've read it through, it makes sense, then could you take a picture please and upload it to Class Dojo. And that's it for now. So well done Year 4. Good luck with that. I look forward to seeing your descriptions.